Hello, my name is Matin Taheriruh. I'm a doctoral researcher from Tampere University in Finland, and in this presentation, we are going to talk about the use of competences in collaborations and introduce an approach for managing competences for innovative and sustainable public procurement. In this presentation, we aim to understand why public procurement needs to rely on a broader network of actors to achieve innovative and sustainable outcomes. We are going to introduce an approach in understanding the managing of competences in collaborations. We are going to discuss insights from the Precius project research. We are going to have some examples, and in the end, we are going to explain the case study assignment of this presentation. As societal challenges are becoming more and more complex, there is a need for innovative approaches to address these challenges, particularly in the field of sustainability. And these innovative approaches can be both aiming for innovative products, like more advanced technologies for waste management or techniques for reduction of material consumptions, or it can also encompass the use of new processes in the public procurement, like the new EU procedures that allow more flexibility in terms of aiming for more innovative approaches for public procurement. And it is based on the previous research that public procurement executives may not have all the necessary competences that they need to have to aim for innovative and sustainable public procurement. They might not have enough knowledge on sustainability issues and how to have holistic views, or enough competences to be able to conduct innovative approaches for public procurement. This is why public organizations need to develop a new sets of competences and aim for future, but they should also rely on external actors in order to be successful in those innovative and sustainable public procurement practices. And these external partners can be suppliers that they aim to get the solutions from them. They can be intermediaries that can help them understand and learn more about the novel practices, or they can be other public organizations that they can learn a lot from their previous experiences. So, to talk about our perspective in using competences in collaborations, first we need to say that in order to achieve the aim of innovative and sustainable public procurement, there is a need for competences, and these competences are the enablers of some of the key activities that are needed to achieve it. But the way that we show the implementations of these activities is through seeing something like this figure, that public organizations need some competences themselves, and they need to have collaborations with other actors to activate the others' competences. So, as a result, all of their activities can aim for innovative and sustainable procurement. We used that perspective in our research in Precius project, in which we had a Word Cafe session. We invited 18 public procurement professionals and asked them how they vision the future competences needed to be able to implement certain activities. And after the identification and ranking of those competences, there were several key competences that were identified for the key activities of like market analysis, procurement process management, and co-creation of the solutions. For example, for market analysis, we realized the courage and ability to take risks, culture of experimentation, and ability to anticipate changes in the operating environment were the key competences. For procurement process management, the knowledge of different types of procurement procedures, the ability to anticipate and document changes, and ability to cooperate with suppliers were identified. And for co-creation, the ability to communicate the objectives to suppliers, the skills to manage the big pictures, change management skills, ability to build, manage, and lead a network, and ability to understand the benefits and business logics of suppliers were identified. And as you can see, there are not only competences to do certain activities within public organizations by the professionals, but there are many competences named that were there to be able to activate other actors like suppliers or other actors in the networks to conduct certain types of activities and participate in the market analysis phase, in the procurement process phase, and in co-creation phase. Based on our findings, we conceptualize the framework to understand the use of competences in collaborations. We do know that public organizations would need certain set of competences in order to be able to conduct certain activities needed for innovative and sustainable public procurement. And our categorizations shows three main categories of competences that are needed. The first ones are procedural competences, like the green ones that you see in this figure. And these competences are needed to be able for public organization executives to conduct certain activities, particularly focusing on doing the procedures of the public procurement with a focus on process efficiency, compliance, and effectiveness of those procedures. And these can be some things like knowledge of procurement procedures, project management skills, and these sets of competences would be needed within the public organizations, and executives need to have them to be able to do those activities. The second set of competences needed are the relational ones, and these are the competences needed to get the activities done by other actors. And in order to do that, the public organizations need to own these competences to collaborate effectively with other actors to be able to address the activities that are needed for aiming for innovative and sustainable public procurement. And these competences can be some things like ability to cooperate with suppliers, network management competences. And these competences provide an environment for other actors to take their part. And the second set of competences are the enabling competences, which are very important competences needed in public organizations to create an environment for procedural and relational competences to be effective. For example, the ability to change own thinkings, change management, ability to take risks. And we call these sets the enabling competences. And we argue all of these three sets of competences are crucial in order to get the main activities done that are needed for innovative and sustainable public procurement. Based on this framework, for example, we can categorize the competences identified in the Word Cafe session in the Precius project. For example, we identified procedural competences like knowledge of different types of procurement procedures, the ability to anticipate and document possible changes. We identified important relational competences like the abilities to cooperate with suppliers, communicate the objectives, building, managing, and leading networks, and understanding the logics of other actors like suppliers. And we identified important enabling competences like courage and ability to take risks, cultural experimentations, change management competences, and skills to manage the big picture. Now let's see the use of this framework in an example. Imagine a municipality who's aiming to do a public procurement practice to, to get new recycling technologies needed for their waste management. For example, they're going to buy AI-powered waste sorting or new smart recycling bins. And in order to get these innovative the solutions in the sustainable public procurement practice, they're going to need those sets of competences because they may not have enough competences in terms of the sustainability knowledge, understanding of new technologies, or many other competences that would be needed to be able to do this project effectively. Therefore, first, they need the procedural competences to conduct the procedures effectively and to use the regulations and as much as flexibility in terms of effectively using those procedures to get the results done. So they need to, for example, have a good understanding of the procurement regulations. They need to have a good understanding how to conduct the sustainability criteria measurement or how to ensure compliance with for their supplier selection. They also would need relational competences to get certain activities done by suppliers, by intermediaries, and other actors. For example, they need to be they need to have a set of communication skills needed to effectively have market dialogues with set of suppliers to understand their needs better. They need to be able to communicate and describe their needs to other actors like suppliers. They also would need the enabling competences to be able to use those first two sets of competences effectively. For example, they are going to need a set of culture of experimentations to be able to aim for doing new things. They need to have change management to be able to talk within their organization towards procuring these new sets of technology. Finally, let's use this framework to analyze an actual case study. In this section, you can have an access to a case study on the city of Tampere in which they piloted a new procurement model to incorporate circular economy principles in one of their road construction projects, and in which they engaged with multiple stakeholders and had effective collaborations. After reading this case, you can discuss who were the actors involved, how the collaborations took place, what competences were needed to get the main activities needed done, and how can you categorize these competences using the framework into procedural, relational, and enabling sets of competences. You can also discuss your analysis with your colleagues and with your friends, and you can also use the forum section in this learning environment to share your understanding with others. Thank you very much.